Hello, everybody. My name is Invicta, and welcome to the world first premiere of the Mugenics trailer. I cannot wait to react to this video. I have never watched this trailer before. Really quick disclaimer, though. Obviously, I've known a little bit about Mugenics for a little while now, and it's a game that I am so looking forward to. It's not going to replace Isaac for me, but it's definitely going to be a long-running series, is what my prediction is. I've never seen the trailer, so this is my first knee-jerk reaction to the world premiere Mugenics official trailer. We're going to be using the IGN's trailer here. This is the one that was linked on Twitter. I did not see this one. I have no idea what's going to be happening, and then after this trailer, we're going to be doing a little bit of a special feature. I'm not gonna ruin what it is. So yeah, here we go. I'm gonna just shut up and let the trailer play, and then I'll go back and react to it, and then we'll get a little bit of a special feature. So enjoy, everybody. We're going to be watching this in its entirety, and I'm just going to shut up. I cannot wait.
In other ghastly news, the mother of that child that went missing a few years back is also missing.
Mrs. Mary Winston Jones could not have any children. When her hubby's a seed swam in, the Lord above just killed him. Sad though it was, there's a silver lining. They bought two little kitties at the pound. The tabby started humping and it led to quite a something. Now a blissful family unit is found there. The house is all a bustle with feline fur and muscle, and the Joneses' hearts have truly learned to sing. The only problem now is they're just not knowing how to keep those kitty titties in a sling. Slipping on some poop in the bathroom hallway, limited to sleeping on the porch. Neighbors throwing bottles at their heads on Fridays. Maybe they should kill them. They should have had some children. Try some IVF for vitamins or yoga or a colon cleanse. The Joneses just aren't making friends. Those kitties are the bloody end. If they hadn't named them, it'd be swell to flush them down the drinking well. Their life's become a living hell. But they're so cute. All of them. Abner, Ajax, Alfie, Alan, Alvin, Andy, Angus, Anton, Archie, Arlo, Arnie, Artie, Aspen, Atlas, Banjo, Banshee, Barney, Bartok, Batman, Beaver, Benji, Benson, Bernie, Bilbo, Bogart, Bongo, Boofy, Boombox, Bowtie, Braveheart, Bronson, Brubeck, Bumhead, Butler, Cabbage, Carlos, Casper, Cato, Chadwick, Chandler, Chauncey, Chester, Chicken, Comet, Cooper, Cornbread, Cricket, Crunchy, Curly, Curtis, Dallas, Derby, Dasher, Derek, Dewey, Disco, Dogboy, Dozer, Dreckley, Elwood, Fatty, Fearless, Fergus, Finley, Flapjack, Fonzie, Francis Fresco, Frostbite, Fuscus, Gary, Gavin, Geezer, Gipper, Gizmo, Gobble, Grimble, Guido, Gumby, Gustav, Haddock, Harold, Harvey, Hedwig, Herbie, Hobson, Hopscotch, Ian, Igor, Ivan, Jasper, Jelly, Jesus, Jimbo, Jojo, Jordach, Jumpy, Kirby, Larry, Lennox, Lewis, Liam, Linus, Magnus, Mandrake, Marvin, Maynard, Mickey, Monkey, Moses, Mustache, Nobby, Nomad, Norman, Novak, Nugget, Outlaw, Pablo, Papa, Pedro, Peppers, Pippin, Playboy, Quimby, Raffles, Rampage, Reggie, Ringo, Rolex, Sanchez, Sandstorm, Scooby, Skillet, Slapshot,
Oh my God.
Sacco, Sooty, Sultan, Swayze, Taboo, Tarzan, Tito, Toaster, Tofu, Toothless, Vespa, Victor Webster, Whammo, Woody Wrangler, Yoda, Ziggy.
Mary Winston Jones could not have any children. When her puppy seed swam in, the Lord above just killed them.
Wow. Wow, that came out so good. Oh my gosh, there's so much to unpack here. Okay, first off, Matthias and John absolutely nailed this entire. I did not expect it to be an entire full-length song. That was incredible. Okay, so I want to point out a couple of things really quickly here because I mean, I've never seen the trailer. There's a lot of stuff in here that I didn't even know about. So the first thing that I want to show, there was something that caught my eye on this one, and I don't want to break it down too much because I want to get to our special little feature here at the end. But I did see the D6, so I was looking at this one, and oh my gosh, there's just so much. There's so much that's changed here. Magic damage to the end of the turn. Summon a squirrel. So this is oh god. So this is where you get to pick all your abilities from after they level up. And there's so many branching things in there. Guppy was in there but was not named. At least I think it's Guppy. We'll find out in a little bit. But there was also another big thing over here that I saw at the end. I believe that is Guppy, but I could be wrong. There was the Satanic Cats. This part here, the Snorlax cat is just so good. I love that they're just getting punched in the face. Okay, I want to show you this part that caught my eye. Look who that is. You may recognize that character. There's a little bit of the references here. There's a lot to unpack here. All right. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this in the background. I'm just going to have it on loop, and we are going to be joined by a very, very special guest here, the creator of this fine game, and of course you may know him from another little game called The Binding of Isaac. We're going to be joined by Mr. Edmund McMillan. I just call him Ed. We get Ed here on the phone here. So surprise everybody and welcome Ed. Thanks so much for sharing that, dude. That it came out so well, man.
Well, thank you.
it was
weird. Incredible. I'm hearing you coming through my. Oh, I see. Oh yeah, I'm doing the stupid thing.
You did
doing the listening to the stream at the same time.
So welcome,
okay.
Ed. You got
can
it
you hear?
now?
Can you hear me? Okay.
Oh yeah, I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, good.
So there's a lot to unpack here. Obviously, first off, congratulations on the production of everything. It came together so beautifully. I had no idea what even the concept was going to be for the trailer. Matthias and John did a fantastic job on the song here, so I'll have to ask him about that a little bit later now that it's been revealed. But for anyone who's curious, just give them the overall premise of what they just saw, what Mugenics is, and all that stuff, and then let me know how much time you have, because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that you'd like to talk about as well.
I'm like this weird. It's a weird space to be in today, where I was supposed to get a bunch of work done, but then like you kind of just freeze.
Yeah.
And because you want to show everybody this cool stuff, and then I just been talking to people about the trailer, so it feels nice to also talk about the trailer here.
Finally, yeah. Thanks so much for joining us. This was, by the way, this was not planned. This was like all on the fly within the last 30 minutes. So I just want to let everybody know. Talk about Mugenics though, because obviously it's going to be the next huge game from you. Possibly the next installation in the Isaac universe. Obviously, there's a lot of Isaac connections to it. What is the game, and just basically what's going to be the concept behind it for anyone who doesn't know?
Sure, yeah, I mean it's a it's a lot of things. Yeah. I'm working on this pitch, but I would say it's a randomly generated RPG, turn-based tactics game where the core of the game is based around breeding simulation in your house that expands over time. So you basically take cats and you bring them on adventures, you class them, you find items, you collect them, you hoard furniture and money, and you keep pushing further and further from your house, leveling up your cats and exploring different archetypes of the different classes until you basically kind of do what you do in Isaac. So there's like, check marks for every class in all these different branching paths, and you keep doing that until you figure out what the hell the game's about.
So we're not going to find out what the main overall reveal is of the game until into the campaign. I'm assuming is what you're trying to get at.
Yeah, I mean realistically, you're not going to find out until the end of the game.
Oh really? Okay. Oh man, I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's enough motivation to keep you going, because this game is less about I mean, there's a story, but it's less about a story and more about living in this town with a bunch of these weird NPCs and trying to figure out why things are the way they are while is simply trying to survive.
Right. Yeah. I was surprised that it led off immediately with an Isaac reference there. So it's pretty incredible. Obviously, those of you who didn't know, I'll back up. Well, the trailer's about to restart again, but at the very beginning, I noticed that, and I'm not going to dive too much in the lore because that's a whole nother interview. We'll do a full interview with Ed once the game is out, obviously, or in a more talkable state after I can play it and stuff. But at the beginning here, they were talking about something about with Isaac, and then they showed the cats here at the very, very beginning, and it was very clearly at least Tammy and Guppy on here. Is right here. So that I assume is going to be kind of the premise here. And Guppy was not named, as people were talking about in the live chat. When did you decide that you were going to just lead it off with just a straight up Isaac reference just to set the tone, or is it to get everyone's attention, or just kind of let them know that it's going to be in the universe?
I think honestly the only Isaac reference in the beginning is simply the radio part.
Okay.
Everything after that was not intentional.
Okay, I don't want to read too much into it then. you know I'm excited to connect the dots with Isaac though.
1 second.
Yeah.
When it comes to Isaac, I will say that this game takes place some years after.
Oh, okay. Oh man, that's so awesome.
It takes place in the same town.
Right.
In the same, universe, and there's a timeline there. But I mean, honestly, it probably connects quite a few of my games together.
Right.
Yeah. Some that I can't say connect.
Of course. Yeah. No. But, I don't want to pry here. I'm looking at my initial reaction. I'm just laughing. I'm laughing my ass off at all the acting and all the all the cats everywhere.
This whole thing was put together by Flynn. He goes by Dead Minute on Twitter.
Okay.
And he was a fan that reached out to me a while back and was like, hey, I do video editing. If you ever want to do a trailer with me, let me know. And I was looking at his stuff, and it seems like, oh, this is pretty cool. We could do something more like with actual actors and stuff. And we went back and forth on a few different things. And the song, the funny thing about the song, like I've been reading messages and somebody's like, oh my God, this is a play off of the Polka Rap, because there are 150 names.
Yeah.
And that may have been intentional, but I don't remember because this song was made like 13 years ago. So it may have been intentional. It may have been that may have been the motivation, or I may have even said, make sure that there's at least 150 names.
Right.
I don't remember because it was so long ago. This was one of like 17 tracks that came from the original prototype that John and Matthias did, that we end up using as radio tracks. So in the game, like when you're in the house and you're breeding and you're moving furniture around or talking to NPCs, there's a randomly generated radio station that plays, WMEW 99.9 lives. And Matthias is the DJ, well, one of them, the main DJ.
Oh, that's so awesome.
We have this whole system where he like intros songs randomly, like a bunch of different random segments, outros, commercials, segments, man on the street bits, and a shitload of songs. But as you play, you unlock more songs that you would hear in your adventures because those aren't tied in, and it kind of pads it out more and more.
So there's unlockable tracks, and I assume that they were all done by Planet Ridiculon.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yes.
man.
Oh yeah. It is oh my God, I mean, they're still going. They just sent me one of the new final tracks for the very end game stuff, and we may add one more. But it's pushing 40 something, 47 tracks, 48 tracks.
Well, the down a hole, whatever that track was called, that was an absolute banger. of a song, and I even texted Matthias on the phone. I said, dude, this track is absolutely incredible, and he was very proud of that one. It's the one that you released. It was a couple months ago on Twitter.
Yeah, that was one of the first. That was it was like the second or third song that they made once we started again 6 years ago.
Yeah, that track is absolutely incredible. So and after hearing this one, the sort of the Mugenics rap here, I would not have even noticed it. The only thing I did notice about the track the first time I heard it was that all the names are alphabetical.
Yeah.
So, but linking the poker rap together, that was probably the headspace that you were in back when this was first written.
Maybe. I mean, yeah, it seemed like it was because I was referencing more Pokemon back then.
Right.
I'd like to take credit for it, but I don't remember for sure.
Take credit.
It could have just been Matthias. Probably has a better memory of it. You probably ask him, and he would tell you.
Well, I'm
it
gonna
could have
have
just been something that he did.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to ask him because I definitely want to ask him about Mugenics as everything keeps progressing. So, really quickly here. For anyone who doesn't know, make sure you go check out the trailer. I'll link everyone referenced into this video down below in the YouTube information box. Please leave your comments as well, and just if you have questions about Mugenics, I'm not going to guarantee I can answer any of them, but it'll certainly be interesting to see how everyone's going to be progressing with their cats and the breeding and all that stuff. Some of the stuff that you've shown me over the last 2 years or so has just. All it's done to serve is just make me want to play the game even more. So do we have any sort of outlook for release date or like a play testing or what's going on? When can we expect to play Mugenics? Without prying too much.
So yeah, I mean, I can like, I'm probably gonna do a blog post on this next month, but okay. I mean, it's what we're talking about currently. There's this kind of like this funky behind the scenes stuff where it's like. Our goal has always been to hit October because that's usually your last chance for the year.
Right.
Is October. And then it's like you hit if you hit it by October, then you can ride it, right? In through Thanksgiving and Christmas. You can go through the whole families talking about things and you're telling your relatives and whatever else. And usually that can flow. But for the most part, if the game doesn't come out by that time, you've got this dead space where things just get lost because people are busy doing X, Y, Z.
Right.
So this is kind of like weird spot where it's like, if we can make it in time, then we can shoot for that. If we don't, we have to realistically delay at least 3 months because there's this dead space. That we have to avoid.
And then you're looking at Q1 or even a summer release.
So, I mean, we're looking at the pros and cons of that. Like, do we kill ourselves and try to hit it by this time, or do we fluff the game up even more? And like we're at polish. Like all that's left for core gameplay is the final boss, which I'm currently working on this week and next week. And it's a big one, so it's going to take quite a while to animate and get implemented. And then it's just balancing, tuning and testing and fluffing, like we're polishing at this point, which means cutscenes and all that sort of stuff. And the cutscenes are turning out, and so you get snippets of some of the early cutscenes in the trailer.
Okay.
And they're really, really fun. And it's like I kind of want to do more. And if we did push, we could do more cutscenes, and just polish it up. So I don't know. We have to weigh the pros and cons. There's also localization, and then possibly looking into console stuff sooner. I don't know, but yeah, that's the headspace we're in. We've got to try to figure it out, but we don't have. We don't know for sure.
Yeah. I didn't want to pry too much. I just there's going to be so much hype building around Mugenics, and obviously, again, I've been knowing about a lot of this stuff for a while, and it's like it's so surreal to see it right now as someone who's been just an avid, silent follower of the project. I'm sure this is like insane for you to get to this point, and I figured that we're at a certain level of polish now that we've got the first final trailer, I guess, if you want to call it that, or the world premiere trailer.
And it feels more real too, which is fun.
Yeah.
It's definitely like it'll be fun to kind of ride that extra boost into the future, and it's always fun to see what people think. Like even the stuff that you're talking about makes me go, oh, it's interesting to see people viewing things that way.
Right.
There's still enough room to pivot different directions to make. You know, I like designing like a DM. So like if I hear my players coming up with ideas that they think may be cool or assume, then it's easy for me to pivot in a different direction and do something even more surprising.
Yeah. Ed is the devious
so, yeah.
DM of the friend group that I imagine in my head. It's like, well, we find an advantage here. It's like, well, let's look at changing that, subverting some expectations here.
It's not, for me, it's not so much about making it like screwing people over and making it harder, but more about listening to what pulls excitement.
Yeah, sure.
And that sort of stuff, and kind of like pushing it even more, realizing you're like, oh, there's been some interesting things like at the end of that trailer, you see one of the kind of earlier big bosses, and that boss was a placeholder boss for quite a long time, and we even had testers test it, and it was this really bizarre situation where we do these polls and say like, who are your favorite bosses? The coolest part is like literally everybody would kind of do different bosses, but then they would always come back to, oh, the Tormentor is probably my favorite in the end though, because it's so cool. And there was no gameplay, like it was nothing. It was just because it was the cinematic boss.
I got you.
That felt really big, and it was kind of this realization, like, oh, well, I guess we should kind of lean into that a bit more, because people seem to really like, even though it wasn't an exciting gameplay experience, it still stuck out in their mind as a really cool boss because of how living and big and crazy it was. So we kind of like literally 2 months ago pivoted a little bit in a different direction. It's like, oh, we should kind of try to make sure that more of these bosses are like that, but also have really cool gameplay. So
right,
it's a constant learning experience, and it's cool. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
I absolutely love Pablo. He's got sort of a Cad Bane look to him, which is my favorite Star Wars character. One thing that I also stopped on was the level up screen here, and again, there's way too much to take up your time with right now, obviously, but feel free to spend as much time as you want on this. But a couple things that I noticed here was that it's got a very similar stat look to on the left side of the level up screen to Isaac, and then obviously the active abilities here. All of this is going to be totally randomized per cat, and also based on the parents. Is that correct?
So if you look in where it says actives and by attack, up top, those, and the passive, those things can all be inborn. So if you were to take this cat, and this cat is a druid, if you take this druid cat and you were to breed it with another cat, let's say it was a fighter, there's a chance that any of these 3 abilities up top can be occupied by any class stat that they had in their arsenal when they finished their run. You can multi-class
right
with this, with breeding, which is like, I mean, that's where I'm at right now. Like I've got a run going. It's about 200 hours. I'm about 200 hours at this point. But I'm really pushing hard into these really interesting combinations that I keep stumbling into that I had no idea interacted the way that they did. But
right,
much like Isaac, everything is intended to be designed in a way that leaves things open, kind of open-ended. It lets mechanics speak to one another.
Right.
Like we define things specifically, and then we utilize those definitions broadly. So like a good example would be there's a cat that can summon dead things. And there's another cat that it's a fighter that has this thing called synchro spin, which makes all of your cats spin. And this other cat that summons the dead tends to summon cats. And theoretically, I had this like army of the dead, and I happen to also crossbreed, synchro spin. And I'm like, okay, theoretically, since the things that he's summoning are tagged as cat, shouldn't this work? And then I clicked it, and they all started spinning and destroying everything, including themselves.
That's awesome.
And each other. Yeah, it was just magic, and it was like, wow, that's really cool. And that's just constantly happen. Like
right,
every time somebody, like we have an active Discord for testers, and the testers are just constantly posting things that are crazy that they get to experience as they go. And recently, I had a run where the game was auto playing itself, which was pretty crazy.
So it was just because of the synergies, or just because you set it up like that? Like you bred in.
It wasn't. It was half intentional. I was drafting towards that archetype to the best of my ability, and I had started with a few abilities that would lean that direction. I'd never experienced it firsthand. But yeah, I got in a situation where I had one cat that had a passive that said whenever another cat is damaged, full move towards what damaged it and hit it. And then I had the other cat that said whenever you take damage, whenever you damage something, whenever you take damage, spawn 2 maggot familiars.
Okay.
And then I basically fought this boss that it would the tank, which is the one that would run in and hit the guy. He'd run in and get hit. He'd hit the guy. He'd knock him back into the guy he hit originally, which would cause damage, which would re-trigger these maggots to spawn. And then if he moved any direction, he would kill a maggot, then spawning the tank to go back and hit him again, which would cause the chain. I was able to like one-shot a giant boss.
Dude, that's
turn
awesome.
1. Yeah, and it was just it was cool. But yeah, it's there are like 1,200 abilities, so it's crazy.
I remember the one that you told me about. It was probably like a year ago now, almost, where you had a cat that created floating shards or stones or something like that, and then you bred it with a magic cat or a wizard cat or whatever, and then it would turn them into projectiles that you could actually like fire and move, and then you combine it with like a bleed or something like that. Is that still like the level of? I mean, how many layers does this go as far as like customization of like this skill starts off like this and then they breed it with that and that.
I mean, I can say that it goes deeper than anything I've ever seen in a video game. It's just, I mean, and that's why we're trying our best to spoon feed the game to people, because it can be overwhelming in the beginning when you're trying to figure things out. But I think we've really tuned it up a lot. We do a lot of content that's kind of locked behind the scenes, so you don't get completely overwhelmed and things aren't completely super complicated, and we kind of stagger it out as you learn. I mean, it's similar to Isaac, honestly. Like, the more you play, the more you prove that you understand the game, the more complex things we kind of throw at you, and the more things we unlock. But no, yeah, like that is a 100% thing. Yeah, like it's not uncommon to find items and stuff like a bag of glass, and you could just spend your time filling the whole whole level up with glass, and then dragging things through the glass. And yeah,
I imagine that for a tactical RPG to have that many combinations, that balancing is just going to be like we'll see what happens with this sort of thing. Like you had that sort of Infestation 1 build that you were just talking about that ended up one-shotting a boss, and being able to breed off of that and then bringing those down to another level is, I mean, the possibilities are endless. It's like I said, for those of you watching this, the very beginning of this game, like Eugenics is going to be running as long as Isaac does for me. Like the ideas that you get, especially now seeing a lot of the way that the interactions are and the different cats, and now that we're at the trailer release, is like now my brain is just going. I'm like, man, you can already think about so many crazy things. And I'll do a deeper dive going into this analysis here of the trailer in a separate video, because I don't want to take up too much more of Ed's time. But if you wanted to, I don't know how much time you have left, Ed. If you wanted to field a question or two from chat, feel free. If not, I don't want to set you up for anything you can't commit to.
Sure. I got like 15 more minutes. If you want to like relay the questions at me, like cherry pick what you think is good, because my dyslexia might go awry, and I'm not going to be able to read anything.
No, it's no problem. I've got a couple of questions that lined up already. And please, everyone, if you're watching this live here on Twitch, make sure you ask the questions. I'm only going to be picking questions that I know that we can answer, whatever. And yeah, we're gonna hop into it. So this one came in from Mr. Dadams. Mr. Dadams says, does a player name the cats, or do they all have pre-assigned names, or are they customizable? Names specifically.
We started and we were thinking about, we should let people name the cats, and I can say from experience, it's not a good idea. So it's currently pulling, it's just randomly generated. It's hard to explain exactly why it's a better thing for you, but if you have to come up with names, you go through so many cats.
Right.
And it's the names also add to the personality of the cat. It's kind of interesting to just be like, oh, this is Lyle, and I remember Lyle. Like you kind of remember it more as opposed to naming the cat Steve 1, 2, 3, 4, or what people will end up doing. Like
Right.
you're just gonna end up naming it
Yeah, because
the one name you use, but then put the number at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which is what I ended up doing to all like my Pokemon on Pokemon Go and stuff.
right.
You just like put their IVs in, and that's their name.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
But the names actually come from a bunch of names that people have actually suggested. A few years ago, we had posted a link, and people could submit their own cats' names to the game, and we're gonna do that again. So if you follow the blog, eugenics.com, we will soon again open up cat names and let people kind of submit more cat names and stuff like that.
There you go. That link will be down below, everybody, in the YouTube information box as well as in the comments. Something really quickly that I was going to mention when you were talking about the names, and I didn't mean to cut you off there, was that was a problem that I was running into playing Fallout Shelter. After you start fathering so many new children and offspring and stuff, eventually you get to the point like, well, how do I keep their names? I want to know like the origin of this name, but like it's like you were saying, Steve 1, Steve Jr., Steve Senior, Steve, and like it gets to the point where that no longer becomes really relevant anymore. It's fun for the first maybe 2 or 3 generations, and then after that, it's just annoying. So
it's work. It's
exactly.
extra work.
Yeah, when I want to just jump in the game and not have to worry about naming the cats.
For sure.
This one coming in from John GB, who says, "Is every arena the same size, or will the levels sort of extend depending on the encounter and stuff, or are they all fixed to a similar size?"
They're mostly fixed, but they technically do get smaller or larger depending on the design of the level. So a lot of levels will like cut out the upper left completely with a bunch of stuff in the background and in objects and stuff like that. But we keep it straight to the basic grid.
Right.
There's reasons why it's designed pretty specific.
The another question here is somebody asked, is there a level cap? How will the promotion system work, or is it just going to be just straight up once they get to a certain level they have to breed? But is there basically a level cap coming in from Frank's Pistol?
So the leveling system is really unique, and I don't think I've ever seen, outside of D&D, I haven't really seen it done this way, where basically, so if you have 4 cats, every time you finish a combat, you get 1 level up. One of your cats will level up at random, depending on the level they are. So it'll always try to level everybody up to the highest point, and then continue to level up through that. So you get allocated a certain number of level ups depending on how far you go on your run and which paths you take. So you can take a more difficult path and get more level ups, which may enable you to get even further down this level up skill tree, kind of. So in the beginning of the game, you're not going to even see the potential of leveling up because you eventually start to level up your abilities. Every ability in the game has a leveled up version, which isn't just does more damage or whatever else. A lot of them are full redesigns with full new effects that are based off of the original. You start to level up your arsenal even more and get really, really broken and strong. But you don't see that stuff in the beginning because you got to find a way to get further out, or you've got to start taking hard paths or figure out other ways to do it.
Right.
So it's cool. There is no cap. There is an end to the tree. Like eventually you'll stop getting level ups to your abilities because you don't want to max every single ability out. It kind of cheapens the fun of finding out what that leveled up ability is. What
it can evolve to and stuff too. Yeah, that makes total sense.
And how it'll be used. But yeah, it's once you come back from a run, your cats, in quotes, retire, and they can only be utilized for defense. Is one of the bosses in the trailer, Guillotina, the cat that eats the little cat. That is the first boss that will come to your house.
The one that I called Snorlax.
Yeah, and you've got to be prepared. And in order to be prepared, you need the highest level cats possible.
Right.
So you want to go and have at least 4 quality cats sitting at home waiting for this boss to challenge you.
Defending the homestead.
Yeah. And other than that, you're using them for breeding. There are always ways to break rules, but I'm not going to talk about those.
Right, yeah, of
But
course.
You'll find them out as you go, but for the most part, that's kind of how things are set up.
This one coming in for me. I've got 2 questions left. I'm going to let Ed go. Is the Devourer, is that the beast looking cat, or the one that with all the brimstone, the ones that are the Tormentor, the one that you're talking about?
That's the Tormentor.
Okay, Tormentor, yeah. So that one was the one that particularly caught my eye just because it looks so metal.
Yeah, it's a cool one.
I love
He
that.
got punched up a lot too. Like we kept going with him.
Yeah, I love that you can see the chaos symbol on there as well. So lots of different symbols on there. Final question here, then we're gonna wrap things up, everybody. This one coming in from multiple people on the chat, talking about mod support. Will there be mod support on release? Will there ever be mod support? Or is that just something that's you're just not ready to talk about yet?
I mean, that's something that you could definitely ask Tyler about.
Okay.
It's whatever he wants to do because that's the ball's in his court. But I think he's answered and said that there eventually will be.
Okay.
I'm not a fan of releasing mod support early because, much like Isaac, this game is big, really
Right.
big, and it will take you 150 to 200 hours to finish. And I want people to finish it before they start seeing everything.
Absolutely, yeah.
Until you see, every little thing, which is usually what happens when you start taking stuff apart.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'll defer to whatever Tyler wants to do when it comes to that sort of stuff, and maybe release my strangle control hold on these sort of things and just let people have fun.
No, I hear you that because once mods are, my own personal opinion is that I don't like to play with mods, as a lot of people know. I like to see it how the creator has wanted to everyone to experience it, and then maybe after it cooks for a little while, then maybe open up mod support. That's just my personal take on that. And then one final quick question here. This is the last one, I promise. Will we see something in Repentance Plus of something Mugenics related to celebrate the release of it? Is that something for a farther down future update? Maybe we'll see a release tie-in to Isaac, or is that just something that you may think about?
Yeah, the feature that I'd love to have is when you start up Isaac, it says go buy Mugenics. That would be a good one. I don't know if I can do that legally with on Steam.
Right. Dude.
No, I don't know. There's already talk of doing a Four Souls tie-in, which is kind of a no-brainer.
Right.
I'll definitely do some sort of Four Souls promo. There have been it's a side note, but there's a small chance that might be able to get away with doing a G Fuel cat spray flavor
Oh God.
for release. I've been kind of begging and pleading for that. Jackfruit? Oh yeah, jackfruit. That'll stink.
That.
It does. But yeah, I don't know. No plans as of yet to do that sort of thing. But
That would be insane.
Obviously, I'm not against it. It's just
Right.
like, yeah, it's one of those things where, if we do that, and then we've already updated consoles with all the features of the previous, Repentance Plus stuff, and then people are like, well, what the fuck? Why are you updating the Mugenics items?
We need this. We need that. Yeah.
We're kind of stuck in that. So there is definitely that. And that's a lot of people are like, when are you going to update that stuff? And it's like, we need to do it all at once.
Right. Yeah. I get to talk to Alex all the time about that stuff. It's fun.
Yeah. Yep.
but-
You probably get an earful.
Oh yeah, no, we talk about it a lot. So again, Ed, thanks so much. This was totally impromptu. I did not expect to have you here and be able to talk to you. Everyone, make sure you go check out the Mugenics trailer. Again, I'll be linking it down below in YouTube. Feel free to ask more questions. I can't promise that they'll be answered, but I will try to relay the good ones to Ed. Maybe we'll get an answer or two, but I definitely plan on doing a full-length follow-up video as we get closer to Mugenics and whatever Ed allows. And yeah, thanks so much, Ed. I know you're busy, and congrats on the trailer. It came out perfect, man. I was laughing my ass off. It's so good.
Well, thanks. Yeah, Flynn did a great job, and Matthias and John did a fantastic job as well.
All right, so I'm gonna.
There'll be more trailers in the future. More trailers.
Yeah. This is not the last trailer. Obviously, this is just the first one, but it's already starting off to a great start here. And Mugenics is it's so good. Make sure, by the way, you wish list it down below. I will be posting the Steam link, everyone else's links that we've talked about down below as well. One final time, thanks so much, Ed. Thank you for watching. Those of you who are live here on Twitch, and as always, I will see you all next time. Until then, so long, everybody. I cannot wait from Eugenics.